Hi viewers, it's Iram Ali here, immigration solicitor. Welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video, we will be looking at the exemption from meeting the financial requirements with regards to family visas. So let's make a start. First of all, it's important to remember that this advice is with regards to family visas. Family visas usually consist of a spouse, fiancé, unmarried partner, or child. Okay, so it is that category only. It doesn't apply to any other category. Doesn't apply to visit visas, doesn't apply to skilled workers. It only applies to family migration, which consists of either your spouse, fiancé, unmarried partner, or child. Does not include parents, does not include siblings, does not include aunts and uncles and cousins. Okay, so that is your the fundamental here to understand. Okay, so under the immigration rules, there are certain people who are exempt from meeting the income threshold. The current income threshold is 18,600. So you have to be able to show that you are earning that before you can sponsor somebody under that, under the visa category that I've just spoken about. That is set to increase to 29,000 from April 2024. People who are exempt from meeting that threshold are those that are in receipt of certain qualifying benefits. So what are those? They are if you are receiving personal independent payments, known as PIP, or carers allowance, or disability living allowance, or related allowance to those that have left the armed forces. And there are certain others, but these are your main qualifying benefits. They do not include income support, child tax credit, working tax credit, universal credit, child benefit. They do not include them. So if you are on those benefits, you're not exempt from meeting the income threshold. You are exempt from meeting the income threshold if you are on qualifying benefits that the Home Office has given guidance on, which usually relate to your inability to work either part-time or full-time. And they include, as I've said, PIP, carers allowance, disability living allowance, attendance allowance, certain allowances that are related to the armed forces, or if you've recently left the armed forces. Okay, so those are your qualifying benefits, which then give you an exemption from meeting the income threshold. However, there is still a threshold to meet that is related to your income. So you're not completely exempt in that sense. Okay, so there is a different set of criteria that you have to meet. Let's look at what that is. So the Home Office will look at three different elements of your income and lifestyle in the UK. So the first one is whether or not you are in receipt of a qualifying benefit that we've just looked at. And in addition to your qualifying benefit is the rest of your income, which could be made up of part-time work. So you might be a carer and you're also working part-time 10 hours, for example. You might be on personal independence payments, known as PIP, and you also receive employment support allowance or universal credit or working tax credit. So the Home Office, in addition to your qualifying benefit, will look at your household income. What else is coming into your household in terms of your income for you, okay, for you, because you're the sponsor. The Home Office will also look at your living costs, and what the Home Office mean by that is what is your rent or mortgage and your council tax payments. So what is your living cost in the sense of your rent or mortgage and your council tax bill. So what are those costs? Okay, so that's the second element. The third one is the what is the equivalent of the income support allowance that you could be entitled to when your loved one, the person you're sponsoring, whether that's your spouse or your child, what will be the income support allowance that you could be entitled to. So that that's the third element. So those are the three distinct elements that the Home Office is going to take into consideration. Okay, so you need that, or all of that information to work out whether you are exempt from meeting the income threshold. So what do we do with all of that information? So firstly, you need to work out what is your weekly income amount. So you work out how much of the qualifying benefit you get per week, because some people receive payments fortnightly, some people receive it monthly. You need to work out what is the weekly amount that you receive for that qualifying benefit, whether it's PIP or carers allowance or attendance allowance or disability living allowance, whatever, that per week. Add on to that and work out how much is the rest of your income per week. So you might be working part-time, you might be getting housing benefit and council tax benefit and I don't know, universal credit, and those payments are usually made monthly, so you need to work out how much is that per week. Okay, so add those two figures together, your qualifying benefit weekly amount and the rest of your income weekly amount, add that together to get one amount for your income. Okay, let's park that. Secondly, your living costs, so your rent or mortgage and your council tax, how much council tax you pay. Add that together and work that out per week, because usually those are paid monthly as well, so you need to work that out per week. If you are living with parents or relatives and they are very kind to you and they are letting you live with them without having to pay any rent or council tax, that's great. So you will have a nil amount, you'll have a zero for that. Okay, so if you're not paying any rent or mortgage and you're not paying council tax because you're living with your parents or with your relatives, or your circumstances are as such that you don't have those costs to meet, then put a zero, you don't have any costs. Let's park that as well. Third one, you need to work out and find out how much is the income support allowance relating to the family of your size. So if you are sponsoring your spouse to come over, and once he or she comes over, you become a couple, so then you need to know what is the income support allowance in the UK for a couple, and I believe at the moment it's £133.30 per week. Yeah, if you've got children, then you need to find out and work out how much that is for a household with the number of children that you have, regardless of what nationality your children are, whether they're British or not, including the child that you're sponsoring if you are, how much income support allowance is the level that you could receive once the people you're sponsoring come over. All right, so if it's just a couple, if it's just you and your spouse, then it's £133.30. So you write that down and you park that. So then you do the calculation to work out whether you're exempt or not. So what is that? You take your income amount, you minus your living costs from it. Whatever you get left needs to be the same as or more than that income support allowance that you could be entitled to. Does that make sense? So you've got an income amount, which is your qualifying benefit and any other income. You've got a weekly amount there. Then you deduct your weekly living cost, which is your rent or mortgage and your council tax bill. So you work out the weekly amount and deduct that from that income. Whatever you have left needs to be the same as or more than the income support amount that you could be entitled to for the family of your size. And like I said, if you've got no children and it's just a couple, you and your spouse, then that amount is £133.30. Yeah? So say your income amount is £500 from your qualifying benefit, as well as you're working part-time or you're getting some other benefits. That amount is £500. You're living with your parents and they don't charge you any rent, so you have zero to deduct. So you've got £500 a week coming in. That is more than £133.30. Therefore, yes, you do qualify for the exemption. Or you've got £500 benefits coming in, including the qualifying benefit, and your living costs are £300, because your rent or mortgage is £200 a month plus £100 council tax, for example. £300 minus that from the 500, you get £200 left. That is more than £133.30. So yes, you do qualify. However, if when you've done that calculation and all you've got left is £90, then you do not meet that rule. You do not meet that rule. And my advice is to make sure that you are claiming what you're entitled to. So you might be entitled to employment support allowance, for example, or you might be able to work part-time, find a part-time job. You might be able to work part-time to increase that amount. Okay, so that is the calculation that the Home Office use to determine whether you are exempt from meeting the financial threshold. Okay, I've been inundated with emails from people who can't work, unfortunately, because of a disability, or they are full-time carers for a loved one, and they're also, you know, married to somebody who doesn't live in the UK, or somebody who doesn't have leave to remain in the UK, and they have asked me, you know, how do they then meet the income threshold? So the exemption is available. However, to meet the exemption, you also have to then meet that threshold, which is with regards to your accommodation and maintenance. Okay. Now, the important thing to remember is that the rest of the rules, apply to you. So just because and if you don't have to meet the income threshold, that doesn't mean then that you don't have to meet any of the rules. So I've done some videos on evidencing your relationship, suitability, eligibility, accommodation, being employed, self-employed, the evidential requirements of what documents you need to submit. All of that still applies to you. So you still need to make sure that your accommodation is suitable for the person that is sponsoring to come and live here. It's not going to be overcrowded, tongue-tied today, overcrowded with that person coming and living here. You need to make sure that you are able to evidence your relationship, that it's genuine and it's ongoing. All of that, there's lots of videos, have a look at them. You still need to meet those rules, all right? And if you don't meet one of those rules, you then risk a refusal. So I hope that has been clear. The immigration rules are quite complex in this area. I don't deny that. However, I hope I've been able to give you some advice in terms of how to navigate your way through that to see if you're eligible or not. I've done lots of applications based on the financial exemption. However, there is that requirement, there is a threshold to meet, and it's extremely important that that's made very, very clear to the Home Office in an application. So you should be able to work out whether or not you have enough money left over, and whether that is the same as or more than the income support allowance once you've deducted your living costs from your household income. And please remember, qualifying benefits do not include child benefit, income support, child tax credit, universal credit. I get so many emails, that's why I'm re-emphasizing this point. Those are not qualifying benefits. Qualifying benefits are those that are related to your health, that make it not possible for you to work full-time, if not part-time, or you're a carer for somebody and that's the reason why you can't then go and work full-time. Usually you have the capacity to work part-time, and lots of people do work part-time as well as being a carer, and that's fine. We can include your income from employment or self-employment into that also. All right, so these are just some basic rules for you, some guidance, and I hope that's been useful. If it is, give me the thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you've got any questions, do leave them in the comments box. So until next time, thank you and goodbye. See you later.